My name is Gabriella, and I was raised in a small Minnesota lakeside town where the winters never seemed to end. When I was younger, I believe my family was typical. My dad worked at a high school, and my mom was a night shift nurse at the County Hospital. My dad was a physics teacher. We weren't wealthy, but we weren't struggling either. I used to be the only child, and for a short while I believed I was cherished in the manner that all children should be. My father would take me to work after my mother brushed my hair. Every weekend, we would go fishing. On summer evenings, the three of us would enjoy ice cream while listening to cicadas on the porch. I felt that a warm family was formed in the quiet night air. However, it all came to an end on a chilly January evening, just after my 8th birthday. I was awakened by urgent knocking and headlights shining in the driveway in the middle of the night. My Aunt Evelyn wore a pale face as she entered the house and instructed me to get a coat and some items, since my mother was in the hospital. I was too young to realize that my baby sister, who was born 2 months early, required special care. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but I was certain that after that night, nothing would ever be the same. They gave her the name Lily, a small crimson little life, a form within an incubator, surrounded by tubes and machinery, resting quietly. I was prohibited from being close to her. "We can't risk her getting sick," Mom murmured, her eyes blank, transfixed on the heart monitor. I tried to touch Lily's hand, but she gently pulled me away, as if I were also a danger. Everything focused on Lily. And our house, as soon as she got home, transformed into a sterile area, with air purifiers in each room. I would wake up in the middle of the night with a burning throat because the bleach smell was so strong. Every time I coughed or even sneezed, my mother would gather me up and take me to my grandmother's. At first, I believed Grandma always saved me a new book and prepared me a delicious apple pie. However, I gradually realized that I wasn't accepted in my own house and that I was seen as a possible danger to Lily, the one they all had their sights set on. I took home my perfect score from my first third-grade math test in the hopes that my mother would display it on the refrigerator, just like she used to. Lily seemed a little off, so she looked at the paper and then turned to ask Dad whether he had remembered to get Kleenex. It was uncomfortable, and Dad simply nodded and said, "Good job." He didn't even give her an embrace or a genuine smile. It was just finished, and I did everything I could to get it back. I captured their interest by drawing pictures, taking first place in the school science fair, and telling my mother about all the amazing books I'd read, yet every attempt was rejected with the same justification. Lily has a slight temperature. Lily is asleep. She needs to rest, Gabriella. I eventually figured out how to remain undetectable and kept to my chamber. It was the one place Lily wasn't allowed in. It always smelled like peppermint oil, a perfume that troubled her. It was the one area where I felt like I belonged. I spent hours exploring imaginary worlds behind each old picture and art history antique. But nothing hurt more than when Mom informed them that Gabriella has always been strong and independent, something they repeated when they started rewriting the past. When I joined the gifted program, my neighbor saw that Lily needed more. No, I didn't comprehend. All I knew was that I had a family once. But one day, it disappeared without warning. I gradually came to the realization that expectations were never appropriate for me. Thank yous. Hugs, even. My parents gave me a proud look, but it was all for Lily, and I didn't need that. When someone inquired about me, Mom would respond, "I thought Gabriella was the kind of person who takes care of herself." But self-reliance does not equate to a lack of affection. In 8th grade, I applied for a job. Mrs. Lorraine, the proprietor of Sugar Pines Bakery in town, was the first person who saw my worth outside of my family. She never questioned why a 13-year-old wanted to sell pastries and scrub floors. She simply placed a hand on my shoulder and said, If you put in the effort, you deserve a place in the world. I've never forgotten that. I used to go to the bakery every day after school to tie up my hair and begin cleaning plates, wiping tables, and taking orders. At home, nobody ever asked me what I was doing or where I had gone, as long as I didn't startle Lily with the hand soap scent. Lily was different. She didn't have to tidy her textbooks or work. She never entered a bakery unless it was to purchase her birthday cake. Every time Lily hosted a group gathering, the entire family would bring flowers and a video camera to church concerts and presentations. Even after I received a flawless SAT score, Mom simply said, "That's good," as she sliced fruit for Lily, because she's deficient in vitamin C. I wrote essays covertly during my breaks at 12 institutions, without telling anyone about it. Mrs. Lorraine proofread them for me at the bakery. She even taught me how to write from the heart, which she dubbed writing with fingerprints. I got my own reference letters, completed my financial aid applications, and independently navigated the FAFSA. I didn't expect my parents to cover the costs. I was quiet, alone, and never reluctant. I applied for every merit-based, need-based, first-generation scholarship I could find. Each application was my silent protest at being disregarded. I worked all summer, kept all of my tips, and even filled a piggy bank with cash to pay for a bus ticket to a scholarship interview in the following state. Then, one spring day, as I was cleaning the bakery counter as usual, I received an email confirming my acceptance, with a full scholarship, to Northwestern University. I stood motionless. Mrs. Lorraine gave me a hug while her eyes were watering, the buttery sweet smell of cookies in the air, and her smile uncontrollable. That night, I cried for the first time because I felt like I was her own grandchild. Someone was genuinely proud of me. I handed Mom the acceptance letter when she got home. She looked at it before placing it on the table. "Congratulations. But don't inform Lily. She's been under a lot of stress lately." I nodded, folded the letter, and slipped it into my pocket. Lily giggled downstairs about her new dance shoes, from a store I'd never even heard of. I went upstairs. Weeks later, the entire family organized a small celebration since Lily won a school painting competition. Second place. Her father even displayed her drawing in the living room with a plaque that said, "The family's gift." I gazed at the image of the pink kitten perched atop a rainbow, then, looking back to my essay, one a college professor had lauded as being above and beyond expectations, now hidden in my drawer, I realized then that no matter how hard I tried, I would always be the kid in the desk drawer, the one who avoided conflict, and Lily, no matter how commonplace, would always be the special one. But I had the key to go this time. I said nothing more. But this, I had lost all patience at that point, and there was only one unambiguous question reverberating in my head. When will they finally notice me, instead of the dim shadow they created? I was supposed to host Thanksgiving that year. To be honest, I was going to go somewhere by myself, until my mother called, speaking more brittly than normal. "Gabriella, I haven't been feeling well, and nobody is particularly interested in cooking. As you are aware, everyone is anticipating the holiday this year." I waited in anticipation of a dinner that no one remembers preparing, but that everyone would remember if I didn't. Before responding, I took a breath. "I'll take care of it. You take a few moments to rest." In truth, I had already been in touch with a posh Chicago catering company, the same one I had hired for my business's auction events. They were experts at hosting private dinners for collectors. Each dish a piece of art, from seasoning to plating, and I used my company's secondary card to pay for everything. No one knew. On Thanksgiving morning, everyone assumed I knew a few cooks. They arrived early. An hour later, the catering crew pulled up with portable ovens, silver trays, and even a professional tablescape designer. Lily caught a peek. "Isn't she going a bit too far?" "It seems like she's trying," she muttered to my mother. I smiled slightly. To impress someone, Because I had no one else to impress. I simply desired a genuine supper, free of soggy potatoes, dry turkey, and salty gravy. Dinner arrived promptly, and I had to drink water in between bites. Nearly 20 people filled the house: grandparents, aunts, uncles, distant relatives, and of course every dish I didn't mention made Lily and her new lover gasp. I simply grinned and poured wine, then stealthily made my way upstairs to my old room. To watch a live auction in Tokyo. One of my loyal customers was bidding on a rare set of gemstones from the Meiji era. I opened my laptop and started the authentication software. I couldn't afford to be distracted. Bluetooth in my ear, I monitored the bids while my assistant relayed updates. Then, a knock. No, not even that. "Do you have an iPhone charger for my phone?" "It's dying," Lily said as she walked in without knocking, her gaze already locked on the glowing screen. Her eyes widened. She smirked. "Mind if I borrow this? Let's show everyone just how awesome your little vintage piece is." Before I could rise, she grabbed the laptop and walked straight back downstairs. As I followed, she called out, "Hey guys, check out what Gabriella is doing on Thanksgiving." She spun the laptop around. Everyone could see the screen. No one spoke. Tabs opened. A bank account. A visible balance of $12,600,000 census data. The most recent internal quarterly report. A $400,000 authentication contract. It was all abundantly clear. The corporation made over $4 million. My mother broke the silence first, a fork brushed against a dish. She shook her head and swallowed a bite of turkey, laughing. "Come on now, sweetheart. Gabriella is most likely just helping someone with paperwork." I took a long breath and straightened my spine. "I'm the one signing it, Mom." I rolled up my sleeves. "I'm the CEO of Orem and Iris. We have 3 offices across 3 states, specializing in estate asset and antique jewelry authentication. Everything you're witnessing is authentic." Aunt Evelyn's jaw fell open. Lily clutched the table. My father leaned back, sweat forming on his forehead. Her voice broke the tension. "You had that sort of money and didn't mention it? I'm still in school. Our parents owe me money." I turned calmly. "For more than 2 years, Mom, I've been sending you $7,000 each month." My dad's face turned pale. "You never even knew where it came from. For years." Lily's eyes turned crimson. "I have a right to know. I'm your sister," she yelled. I stared at her. "Family is meant to share," she insisted. I murmured, gently but clearly. "Family doesn't mean dragging around the same people who constantly make fun of you." I shut the laptop and walked toward the door. Someone shouted something about duties and obligations, but I didn't turn around. The only sound I could hear was my heart's steady pulse, like the ticking of an alarm clock. Despite time and dust, the old gold watch still worked perfectly. No one stood, no one hugged me, no one said, "Gabriella, we're proud of you." The first voice I heard, sharp as a punch to the chest, was Mom's. "You have millions of dollars and—" I didn't even get a chance to respond before you shut down. "Did you even consider your sister? You let your parents struggle?" Lily cried, "I'm your sister!" I chuckled bitterly. "You sat there and watched us suffer. You think buying a BMW flying business class and wearing a Cartier watch is suffering?" My father, silent until now, slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. You should feel guilty. No matter what you do, you're still our daughter." I looked around the table, but their eyes weren't those of loved ones. They looked at me like I was a cracked open safe. "For 2 years, you and Mom got $7,000 every time you called in tears. I never asked why. No restrictions. I just gave." "And this is what I get?" My mother shot back. "Were you successful because you wanted to keep it to yourself, or because you didn't want us to depend on you?" I gripped the glass tighter, my voice steady. "I got used to being overlooked. Since Lily's birth, I was no longer a priority. I won awards, Aced exams. Forgotten. Because your sister needs her nap. I stared at my mother. Do you remember the day I got a perfect SAT score or a full scholarship? I turned to my dad. Do you remember that nobody came to my graduation? You were all too busy with Lily's ballet recital. Their lips moved, but no words came. That's not it, Lily cut in. You're angry because you didn't share it. I feel betrayed. I turned to her. You've never trusted me. You told your friends I was still living off mom and dad. You posted about vacations, ones I funded, by the way. I paid your tuition every semester. Lily froze. I'm not trying to fight, Gabriella, Mom said, but you can't hoard this kind of good fortune and expect things to stay the same. Her voice trembled. This family needs help. You could set up a fund for Lily. She wants to... You mean, use my money to fund a dream that never belonged to me? I pulled out my phone. I just canceled the automatic transfers. Gabriella, my mother shouted. You can't do that. Lily hasn't even finished college. Your father and I were counting on it. Then it's time to figure it out yourselves. I've been on my own since I was 17. If I figured it out, they can too. I stood. The chair hit the floor. No one stopped me, but I turned one last time. If the only reason you want me around is money, I'm done buying love, and I don't need it anymore. I left. Behind me, rumors began swirling. Someone mentioned lawyers. Someone else said, she'll regret this. But as I closed the heavy wooden door behind me, all I felt was relief. Nobody noticed me at Thanksgiving dinner, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel bad about it.